Hey everyone, Morgan here. So today I wanted to talk about water. It is, I've talked about water so much, but I kind of realized I don't talk about it enough because I realized that people forget about water. We can turn on a faucet and it just flows, right? So water is kind of like in the back of our minds. And unless you're personally affected by some sort of drought or contaminated water. What was the story the other day? I'll probably post it up here, but there was another story about contaminated water. And it happens more often than you think. You think it'll never happen to you, but it can and it will and it does. And it happens quite often actually. And so regardless of that, we have to keep in mind it is impossible to store water for a year. I could easily store enough food for a year, right? Like food is just kind of like an easy thing to store. I feel like it's a lot easier to store than water. Water's big, bulky, and we use so much water for so many things. We use it for drinking, we use it for hygiene, we use it for cleaning, we use it for gardening, right? Unless you happen to live in a beautiful place that rains, we use it for our animals. We use water for so many things. I mean, just a crazy amount of water. So it's just impossible to store water for a year. It just is. But that doesn't mean, but it's also impossible to think that you would have enough food for your entire life stored, because that's not possible either. You need at least a couple weeks worth of water and a couple weeks worth of food, and then build it up from there based on how much available space you have, where you live, that kind of thing. So the first thing that you should be doing is store what you can through bottled water. Bottled water is already purified. It is already ready to go, right? It is bottled, purified, it's ready. So all you have to do is just buy it and store it. And you may think that you're wasting money on bottled water, but that's water that you don't have to purify. It's water you don't have to bottle. It's water you don't even have to think about for years. I have kept water, as long as you keep it out of direct sunlight, you can have it in warm places. Just keep it out of that direct sunlight. And if you feel uncomfortable with this, you can rotate more often, rotate the water, just use it the way that you would use, water in your everyday setting. Give it to your plants, give it to your animals, use it in hygiene or cleaning, whatever. There's lots of ways to use water. The next one is going to be collecting rainwater. No matter where you live, you can collect rainwater. I did a whole podcast on this topic, and I want you to go listen to it, because I just went on a total discussion about rainwater and how you can be collecting it right now, no matter where you live, apartment, whatever, be collecting rainwater. Okay? And it doesn't matter where you live. Even if you live in the desert that only gets, the monsoon rains, collect those monsoon rains, right? And you know what? Rainwater can be as simple as getting a 5-gallon bucket and setting it outside, right? We don't have to get complicated sometimes. I think people really overcomplicate certain systems. But, of course, if you want the super fancy systems and all that, more power to you. If you can afford that, you can do that. That's great. Fantastic. So the next one is going to be hauling water. Find those local sources, Hauling water, I think will be a reality for the majority of us, no matter where you live. Even if you are collecting rainwater, you have those bottled waters and things. If it's such a long-term thing, you may have to actually physically go out and collect that collect that water from whatever local source that you can find it, because it will be such a, maybe you just couldn't store that much or whatever, right? So you have to know where those local sources are, including the water purification methods, right? So you have the Berkey, you have the tablets, you have possible bleach, you have the pumps, right? You have the possible distillation or reverse osmosis. You have like the backpacking style, water purification pumps, those kinds of things. So we have all of these water purification methods to purify our rainwater and to purify the water that we haul. And then if you have a well, this is something that we all have to consider. I hear it all the time, like, oh, I have a well, I'm fine. Well, if the electricity goes out, do you have any way to, one, either hand pump it? Two, do you have a solar, which can generate power in order to, get that water up? Or do you have wind? Or do you have a generator that can support enough power to, bring that water up, to pump that water up? What I would suggest if you have a well is to have plenty of storage tanks, whether you have a well or not. I mean, if you can haul water and like fill up those tanks, yes. But if you have a well, fill up all those tanks. People are so against getting the tanks, and filling them up because they, don't want to be a target or whatever. But, you can easily hide tanks. You can bury them if you want to. You could hide them behind your house or, around trees or whatever you want. Like you can be, you can be kind of OPSEC about it, right? And depending on where you live, but most everywhere you can be pretty OPSEC about this. But yeah, get those storage tanks. You don't have to get the big giant ones, although those are pretty cool, but you can get like the little ones, 250 gallon to 275 gallon or whatever, and just fill those tanks with your well water. So if your well does go out, you have the water in those tanks that you can access, right? You're not having to worry about the water from your well immediately. Like maybe you have to set up the solar or the wind or whatever, or you have to hand pump it or whatever the case may be. But you have the water in those tanks already ready to go. I just think that water, just like food though, is a never-ending process. It's something that if you want to continue to live, you are going to have to continue to acquire it. So figure this stuff out now. You may think you're never gonna need it, and if you have like a stream right next to you, you are amazing. You're all set. I am so envious of these people that are like, I live, right near a stream or right near a lake or whatever. No matter where I have lived, I've always made sure that we had access to water. It's so important. So if you are going to be in a desert scenario, right, make sure that you have access to water, whether that's going to a neighbor's well to haul water or a local water source, which there are in desert scenarios. There may just be further apart, you know what I mean? Or just relying on the rain or whatever, right? You may have to reduce your usage. That's another thing about water. You may have to reduce your usage on our everyday basis, where we have water just flowing from the faucets, right? Which is endless water. People don't realize like exactly how much they're using. So, be more water conscious and more energy efficient with your water, and, turn it off when you're not using it, when you're in between brushing your teeth or washing your hands or washing your hair or, your body. What we did in the RV was we would turn it on to, get ourselves wet, turn the water off, lather up, soap up, whatever, we turn the water on, and then, we rinse off, we turn the water off, do whatever else we need to do, and then turn the water back on, completely rinse off, turn it off. That's how we took a shower when we lived off grid, and it worked. It was fine. Like we were used to it. It wasn't really that big of a deal. Like we never took baths. We didn't have a bath anyway, but never took baths. I'm just saying, it's impossible to store water for a year unless, you had like a million tanks outside or something. But, think about these things and really think about you and your situation. I promise, no matter what situation you're in, there's always solutions with water, food, storage, whatever it is. And I'm always here to help. So let me know down in the comments if you need any assistance, and me or the community will be happy to help. Thank y'all so much for watching. Conquer Tomorrow by Preparing Today. I'll talk to you later. Bye.